Hello everybody, welcome to another video, and today I'm going to do the iceberg on Day of the Diesels. This iceberg was made by Hedgehog Fan 2011. Thank you to Hedgehog Fan 2011 for creating this iceberg, and now let's get on with it. Layer 1. Misty Island Rescue post-credit scene was the last minute addition. The post-credit scene of Misty Island Rescue where Diesel 10 shows up was actually a last minute scene that was demanded by the executives at Hit Entertainment to get as an attempt to get general audiences and fans hyped up for the next movie. Blu-ray disc. Originally, Day of the Diesels was going to be released on the Blu-ray, but it was canceled. Canceled game. I think at some point during the development of Day of the Diesels, maybe a company tried to make a video game of the film, but however, it never came to fruition. Season 15 reused test animations. This likely happened because a lot of scenes that were cut out from Day of the Diesels were later reused for Season 15. Books have alternate scenes. I don't know what this is referring to. The promotion. This is obviously referring to all of the marketing and promotion for this film throughout 2011. Now on to layer 2. US dub almost didn't happen. I have no idea what this is referring to. Trailer used deleted lines. In the very first trailer for Day of the Diesels, Sir Topman is saying a line a line which says, "The Diesels have caused confusion and delay." But however, this line did not make it into the final film for some reason. Brenner era change character. I don't know what that word is. I mean, change characters' attitudes. This is referring to how when the Brenner era began in 2013, several characters who had been introduced during the Nitrogen era had their personalities changed in order to make them to make them more appealing as characters. Wrong Thomas and Percy attitudes. This is referring to how Thomas and Percy are both extremely out of character in the film. Percy is a wimp who is always upset because Thomas is hanging out with another engine, and Thomas is an unintentional racist. Failed hold on. Failed VUE cinema releases. I don't know what this is referring to. Original DVD covers. Originally for probably like the DVD cover Day of the Diesels, originally Percy was going to be on the cover, but it was changed to Thomas. Now moving on to layer 3. Day of the Diesels work print. This is referring to the original cut of Day of the Diesels from 2010. As originally, Day of the Diesels was going to be a lot more darker and serious in tone. But however, the higher ups at Hit Entertainment did not like this, as they feared that this would scare children. So, as the final cut of Day of the Diesels, it is more saturated in tone and toned down and kiddie-like. Whilst the original cut of the film is more darker and it takes things seriously. It was going to be called Misty Island Rescue Part 2. Originally, back when Day of the Diesels was coming out, originally some people theorized that the film was going to be called Misty Island Rescue Part 2. But however, this is false. Original Diesel Works design. I just like with a few other entries, I don't know what this is referring to. But this might be referring to the fact that originally Day of the Diesels was probably going to look like the scrapyard from the model series. Similar fates to Tatmar. The reason why this thing is on the iceberg is because both Day of the Diesels and Thomas and the Magic Railroad are both movies that were originally going to be much different from what they originally however, the films were both massively changed. Diesel 10's Claw was censored. In like some of the foreign dubs of Day of the Diesels, Diesel 10's Claw was censored for some reason. Now on to Layer 3. May 2011 release. This is probably referring to that. Originally, Day of the Diesels was going to be released in May of 2011 instead of August 2011. This actually makes a lot of sense, since in canon, Day of the Diesels takes place before the events of Series 15. But however, Day of the Diesels was for some reason released after the first few episodes of season 15 have already aired on television. Lady was considered to be in the film. So this is referring to a theory that originally Lady, at some point during the production of Day of the Diesels, Lady was considered to return in the film, but however, mainly because, but however, she was dropped from the film because I guess maybe the executives at Hit Entertainment wanted to like stray away from Magic Railroad. So that's why Lady was dropped. I do wish she returned though. Scrapped 2011 narrow gauge special. This is likely referring to the original cut version of Blue Mountain Mystery from 2011. As in the original cut of Blue Mountain Mystery, originally Duncan, Duke, Freddy, and Mighty Mac were originally all going to be in the film, but however, they were all dropped from the film. As the reason for them being dropped in the film is that for Duncan's basis was being overhauled during the production of Blue Mountain Mystery, so they could not make his model in CGI. And the reason for Duke, Freddy, and Mighty Mac being dropped is probably because they were all no longer relevant in the show. Dennis, Splatter, and Dodge. Originally, Splatter, Dodge, and Dennis were all going to return in Day of the Diesels, but they were all dropped in favor of Paxton, Sydney, and Norman, mainly because the higher-ups at Hit Entertainment wanted new characters instead of bringing back old characters. Original Miller script. This is likely referring to the original script of Day of the Diesels that was written by Sharon Miller. Thomas was supposed to be protagonist. A lot of people think this because despite Percy being the main character of the movie, Thomas was featured in basically every single promotional material for Day of the Diesels, despite him not being the main character of the movie. Daisy, Lady, and other engine concept arts. This is likely referring to the fact that this is likely referring to a rather unknown theory that Daisy was originally considered for an appearance in Day of the Diesels, but however she was dropped mainly because some executives at Hit Entertainment didn't think that she was marketable anymore. And as I discussed earlier, Lady at some point was considered for the film but was dropped. Now moving on to... Oh wait, I forgot something right here. Rupert Degas' Diesel 10. Originally, Rupert Degas was going to voice Diesel 10 in the film, but however, Rupert Degas was dropped as Diesel 10's voice because the people at Hit Entertainment thought his voice was too scary and too theatrical for the film. Now moving on to the fifth layer. Diesel scrap roll. It might have been possible that originally Diesel's going to have a much bigger role in the film, but that role was dropped, and he was just turned into a supporting character. Paxton, Sydney, and Norman's deleted scenes. This is likely referring to the fact that that originally at some point during the production, Paxton, Sidney, and Norman were originally going to have speaking roles in the film. 3 versions of Day of the Diesels. This is like referring to all 3 cuts of Day of the Diesels. The first draft version, the second the original cut, and the final cut. A deleted scene was reused for Blue Mountain Mystery. This is likely referring to a fact that some scenes that were deleted in Day of the Diesels or either repurposed for future episodes and seasons. Disturbing scenes. This is likely referring to the fact that the original cut of the film there were some scenes that people thought were disturbing. Diesel 10's original scheme. I don't know what this is referring to. Greg Tiernan read Thomas the Magic Railroad's May 1999 script. This likely is referring to a fact that during the production of Day of the Diesels, Greg Tiernan read the original Thomas and the Magic Railroad script when writing the film. Now on to the next layer. Wickham's Percy voice is not going to return. This is likely referring to that Keith Wickham's Percy voice is not going to return for the film. Diesel 10's driver. This is likely referring to a theory that P.T. Boomer is Diesel 10's driver. Bell and Flynn were meant to be in the climax. This is like referring to that Bell and Flynn were originally going to appear in the climax of the film, but were dropped mainly due to time constraints. Most countries dubbed over Dagus's lines. I have no idea what this is referring to. Fake's fan-made leak. This is referring to all of the fan-made Day of the Diesels leaks that were spreading around in the Thomas fandom around the time of the film's release. Alternative climax. This is... I have no idea what this is referring to. Angelus cut lines. I have no idea what this is referring to. Parent concerns. This is likely referring to how test audiences reacted to Day of the Diesels, the original cut. Failure news. I have no idea what that means. Edgy and... I can't show that word on YouTube. Nitrogen, we're going to quit. This is likely referring to that during the production of Day of the Diesels. That since some of the producers wanted to make the film more darker and edgier, some people at Nitrogen wanted to originally quit. Negative impact. This is also referring to the original cut. No one was satisfied. Also referring to the original cut. Greg Tiernan wrote the original cut. This might be true. Thomas and Percy are the true antagonists. This is likely referring to how Thomas and Percy acted throughout the film, as in one scene in the film, Thomas says an unintentionally rather rude remark about diesels. And that's pretty much all I have to say.